The sun hung high, casting a relentless heat over the bustling gas station. Vicky, a dedicated attendant, moved briskly from pump to pump, her face glowing with a combination of perspiration and a steadfast smile. Despite the sweltering weather and the endless stream of customers, she maintained her composure, greeting each person with a warmth that belied the day's intensity. Vicky's hands moved deftly, helping a family refill their minivan, and then assisting a young woman struggling with the gas pump. As she finished, she noticed an elderly man slowly approaching the station. His clothes were worn and frayed, his steps hesitant. His eyes darted around, a mixture of confusion and worry etched on his weathered face. "Excuse me, miss," he began, his voice trembling slightly. "I seem to have forgotten my wallet at home, and I don't have enough money to pay for the gas I've already pumped." Vicky paused, her eyes locking onto his. The sincerity in his voice was unmistakable. She could see the worry in his eyes, a worry that transcended the immediate predicament and spoke of deeper, lingering concerns. She stepped closer, her expression softening. "Don't worry, sir," Vicky said gently. "We'll figure something out." She reached into her purse, pulling out her own money. She counted out the exact amount and handed it to him, her smile reassuring. "You can pay me back whenever you get the chance." Lewis, as he introduced himself, was visibly moved. His eyes moistened as he took the money with shaking hands. "Thank you," he said, his voice choked with emotion. "I promise I'll come back to pay you." Vicky nodded, her eyes reflecting her genuine trust in his promise. As Louis turned to leave, her colleagues, who had been watching the scene unfold, began to murmur among themselves. "Are you serious?" one of them scoffed. "You actually believe that, old man? He's probably just scamming you." "Yeah," another chimed in, smirking. "There are always swindlers around here. You've just been played, Vicky." Vicky's expression hardened momentarily as she listened to their mocking comments. She took a deep breath, turning to face her colleagues. "I believe in giving people benefit of the doubt," she said firmly. "Not everyone is out to deceive. Sometimes people just need a little help." Her colleagues exchanged skeptical glances, but said no more. Vicky watched Louis walk away, his steps a bit steadier, a small piece of paper with his name and address clutched in his hand as a promise of his return. She felt a mix of hope and trepidation, knowing she had done what she felt was right, despite the disdain of her peers. The rest of the day passed in a blur of heat and activity. Vicky continued her work with the same dedication, but her thoughts kept drifting back to the elderly man. She wondered about his life. What circumstances had led him to that moment of need? Each customer she helped seemed to remind her of the encounter and the small act of kindness she had extended. As the sun began to set, casting long shadows across the pavement, the gas station finally quieted down. Vicky took a moment to rest, leaning against the counter inside the station. The cool air was a welcome relief from the oppressive heat outside. The manager, a stern man named Mr. Thompson, approached her. "Vicky," he said, his tone neutral, "I heard about what happened today." "Did you really take money from the register?" Vicky straightened up, her heart sinking. "No, Mr. Thompson," she replied, meeting his gaze. "I used my own money. That gentleman needed help, and I believed him." Mr. Thompson sighed, rubbing his temples. "I understand your intentions, but we have rules for a reason. If we make exceptions, it could lead to bigger problems." Vicky's eyes filled with sadness, but she held her ground. "I did what I felt was right," she said softly. "Sometimes rules need to bend for the sake of humanity." Mr. Thompson looked at her for a long moment before shaking his head. "I'm sorry, Vicky. It's too late now. You're dismissed." Vicky felt tears prick at the corners of her eyes as she gathered her things. She walked out of the gas station, her heart heavy, but her conscience clear. She had done what she believed was right, even if it cost her job. As the sun began its slow descent, casting a warm glow over the gas station, the hustle and bustle gradually subsided. The once crowded pumps were now sporadically occupied, and the hum of engines gave way to the occasional chirping of birds. Vicky took a moment to catch her breath, wiping the sweat from her brow. Just as she was lost in her thoughts, the sharp voice of the station manager, Mr. Thompson, cut through the stillness. "Vicky, can I see you in my office?" His tone was neutral, but there was an edge to it that made Vicky's heart sink. Vicky followed him into the small, dimly lit office at the back of the station. The walls were adorned with outdated posters and stacks of paperwork cluttered the desk. Mr. Thompson sat down behind the desk, gesturing for Vicky to take a seat. "I heard about what happened today," he began, folding his hands in front of him. "Did you really take money from the register?" Vicky shook her head, her voice steady but laced with sadness. "No, Mr. Thompson, I used my own money. That gentleman was in need and I believed him. He promised to come back and pay me." Mr. Thompson sighed, leaning back in his chair. "Vicky, we have rules for a reason. If we make exceptions, it sets a precedent. Other customers might think they can delay payment, and that could create problems for us." "I understand the rules," Vicky replied, her gaze unwavering. "But sometimes humanity should come before policies. That man was desperate, and I couldn't just turn him away." The manager's face hardened. "I appreciate your sentiment, but we can't afford to operate on trust alone. It's too late now. I'm afraid I have no choice but to let you go." The weight of his words hit Vicky like a blow to the chest. She felt tears welling up, but she blinked them back, refusing to let them fall. "I understand," she said quietly, "but I don't regret what I did." Mr. Thompson nodded curtly. "You can collect your things and leave. I'll process your final paycheck." Vicky stood up, her legs feeling weak beneath her. She gathered her belongings, her movements mechanical and slow. Her colleagues watched in silence, some with pity, others with indifference. As Vicky stepped outside, the cool evening air hit her face, mingling with the warmth of her tears. She walked home, the streets bathed in the soft light of dusk. At home, Vicky sat in the small, cozy living room she shared with her mother Rachel and her daughter Anna. The modest furniture and simple decorations spoke of a life of hard work and modest means. Rachel, sensing something was wrong, looked up from her knitting. "Vicky, what happened?" Vicky took a deep breath, steadying her voice. "I lost my job today." Anna, who had been doing her homework at the kitchen table, looked up, her young face etched with concern. "Why, Mom?" Vicky explained the situation, her voice calm but tinged with sadness. She spoke of the elderly man and her decision to help him and the subsequent dismissal. Rachel listened quietly, her eyes reflecting both worry and pride. Anna's eyes filled with tears, but she quickly wiped them away, trying to be strong for her mother. "That was a kind thing you did," Rachel said softly. "Sometimes doing the right thing comes with a price, but it's important to stay true to who you are." Vicky nodded, her heart heavy but her spirit broken. Rachel's eyes filled with worry, but she masked it with a calm demeanor. "We'll figure it out, Vicky. We always do," she said reassuringly. The days that followed were marked by a series of small but significant struggles. Rachel, in an effort to keep the household afloat, made the difficult decision to sell some of the family's precious heirlooms. She parted with a silver brooch that had been in the family for generations, and a delicate porcelain tea set, each sale a painful but necessary step. Vicky watched with a heavy heart as her mother handed over the items to a local antique dealer. Rachel's stoic expression masked the pain of parting with these treasures. "We'll buy them back one day," Rachel said with a determined smile, trying to lift her daughter's spirits. Anna, sensing the tension, began to worry about her schooling. One evening, as Vicky tucked her into bed, Anna asked, "Mom, will I have to stop going to school?" Vicky's heart ached at the question. She brushed a stray lock of hair from Anna's forehead and kissed her gently. "We'll do everything we can to make sure that doesn't happen, sweetie. Just focus on your studies, okay?" Anna nodded, but the worry in her eyes remained. Vicky knew that the financial strain was not just affecting her. It was a burden shared by her entire family. The house, once filled with laughter and light-hearted conversations, now echoed with the unspoken fears and uncertainties of their future. Despite the hardships, the family's resilience shone through their supportive interactions. Rachel continued to knit, creating beautiful scarves and blankets that she sold at the local market. Anna, though young, offered to help around the house more, cleaning and cooking with a diligence that touched Vicky's heart. One evening, as they sat around the dinner table, Vicky looked at her mother and daughter, feeling a surge of gratitude. "I'm so proud of both of you," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "We're a team and we'll get through this together." Rachel reached across the table, taking Vicky's hand in hers. "We always have and we always will," she said firmly. "Remember, it's not about the material things we lose, but about the love and support we have for each other." Anna nodded enthusiastically. "We're stronger together," she added, her young face glowing with determination. Vicky smiled, feeling a renewed sense of hope. The struggles Vicky faced only strengthened her resolve, as she was determined to find another job and provide for her family. With every new day came a renewed sense of purpose, and Vicky's mornings began with the familiar routine of scanning job listings, updating her resume, and writing cover letters. Her days were long and tiring. Each rejection email stung, but Vicky refused to let them deter her. The weariness showed in the lines on her face and the slump in her shoulders, but her spirit remained unbroken. She knew that giving up was not an option. Vicky spent hours at the local library, filling out online applications and researching companies. She attended numerous interviews, each time dressing in her best outfit and wearing a hopeful smile. Despite the endless rejections, she maintained her optimism, believing that the right opportunity would eventually come. One afternoon, while browsing job listings, Vicky came across a position for a gas station attendant in a distant neighborhood. The station was farther than she would have liked, and the commute would be long, but the job description seemed promising. Taking a deep breath, she submitted her application, hoping for the best. A few days later, Vicky received a call from the gas station's manager, inviting her for an interview. The manager's voice was friendly, and Vicky felt a flicker of hope. She prepared meticulously for the interview, going over potential questions and rehearsing her answers. The day of the interview dawned with harsh weather. The sky was overcast, and a cold wind whipped through the streets. Vicky bundled up in her warmest coat and set off early, knowing that the journey would be long. She navigated through crowded buses and trudged through rain-soaked streets, her determination unwavering. When she finally arrived at the gas station, she was greeted by a middle-aged man with a kind smile. "You must be Vicky," he said, extending his hand. "I'm Mr. Rufus, the manager here. It's a pleasure to meet you." Vicky shook his hand firmly. "Thank you for seeing me, Mr. Rufus," she replied, her voice steady despite the nervous flutter in her stomach. The interview took place in a small, cozy office. Mr. Rufus asked about her previous experience and her reasons for wanting the job. Vicky spoke honestly about her situation, her dedication to her family, and her determination to work hard. She emphasized her willingness to learn and her positive attitude. Mr. Rufus listened intently, nodding occasionally. "You have quite the story, Vicky," he said thoughtfully. "It's clear that you're a hard worker and very dedicated. I appreciate your honesty and determination." Vicky felt a glimmer of hope. "Thank you, Mr. Rufus. I believe I can be a valuable addition to your team." After a few more questions, Mr. Rufus leaned back in his chair, a thoughtful expression on his face. "I like your attitude, Vicky. I think you'd fit in well here. The job is yours if you want it." Vicky's heart soared. "Thank you so much, Mr. Rufus. I won't let you down," she said, her voice filled with gratitude. Mr. Rufus smiled. "I'm sure you won't. We'll start your training tomorrow. Welcome aboard, Vicky." Vicky left the gas station with a sense of triumph. The long commute and harsh weather conditions seemed insignificant in the face of this new opportunity. She couldn't wait to share the good news with Rachel and Anna. That evening, as Vicky walked through the door of their modest home, she was greeted by the familiar warmth of her family. Rachel looked up from her knitting, and Anna rushed to her side. "How did it go, Mom?" Anna asked, her eyes wide with anticipation. Vicky beamed. "I got the job," she announced, her voice filled with excitement. Rachel's face lit up with pride. "I knew you could do it," she said, her voice thick with emotion. "This is wonderful news, Vicky." Anna hugged her mother tightly. "I'm so proud of you, Mom." As she sat down to dinner with Rachel and Anna, Vicky felt a renewed sense of hope. The road to stability was long, but she had taken the first crucial step. Vicky's new job at the distant gas station marked a fresh start, a chance to rebuild and prove herself once again. The journey was arduous, but each step carried her closer to a better future for her family. As she stepped into her role, Vicky was determined to make the most of this opportunity. The first day began with a warm welcome from Mr. Rufus, the manager who had given her this chance. "Good morning, Vicky," he greeted with a smile. "I'm glad to have you on board. Let's get you started with the basics." Vicky followed him through the station, taking in the layout and the various tasks she would need to master. The station was modest but busy, with a steady stream of customers throughout the day. Mr. Rufus introduced her to the team, a mix of seasoned employees and new hires like herself. Her first few days were a whirlwind of activity. Vicky learned to manage the cash register, handle customer queries, and perform routine maintenance tasks. Each task presented its own set of challenges, but she tackled them with determination and a willingness to learn. The work was demanding, and Vicky often found herself exhausted by the end of her shifts. But she never let fatigue dampen her spirits. Interactions with customers became the highlight of her day. Vicky's natural warmth and kindness shone through in every conversation. She greeted each person with a genuine smile, listened attentively to their needs, and offered assistance wherever she could. Over time, her efforts began to pay off. One particularly busy afternoon, a frazzled mother with 2 young children approached the counter. "Excuse me, do you have a restroom we can use?" she asked, her voice tinged with desperation. Vicky nodded and pointed towards the back. "Of course, ma'am, it's just around the corner. Let me grab you the key." The woman sighed with relief. "Thank you so much, it's been a long drive." As the woman headed to the restroom, Vicky fetched a couple of juice boxes and a small snack for the children, handing them over with a smile. "Here you go, kids, something to keep you busy while you wait." The children's faces lit up and their mother returned, gratitude evident in her eyes. "You're a lifesaver. Thank you." Small gestures like these gradually earned Vicky the respect and appreciation of the customers. Her colleagues, initially indifferent, began to notice her dedication and kindness. One evening, as they were closing up, one of her coworkers, a young man named Jack, approached her. "Vicky, I've noticed how good you are with the customers," he said, a hint of admiration in his voice. "You make it look easy, but I know it's not." Vicky smiled modestly. "Thanks, Jack. I just try to treat everyone with the same kindness I'd want for myself." Her sincerity and work ethic slowly won over the entire team. Vicky found herself forming bonds with her colleagues, sharing stories during breaks, and offering help whenever needed. These relationships provided a sense of camaraderie that made the long days more bearable. Vicky's journey at the new gas station had brought stability and a sense of purpose to her life. She had won the respect of her colleagues and the appreciation of customers. Her hard work and determination were slowly but surely paying off. However, the shadow of her past lingered, threatening to disrupt the newfound peace she had built. One morning, Vicky arrived at the gas station, ready to start her shift. The atmosphere was light, and her colleagues greeted her warmly. As she was about to begin her tasks, Mr. Rufus called her into his office. His expression was serious, and Vicky felt a knot form in her stomach. "Vicky, I need to talk to you about something." Mr. Rufus began gesturing for her to sit down. Vicky sat, her heart pounding. "Is everything all right, Mr. Rufus?" he sighed, rubbing his temples. "I received a call this morning from your previous employer, Mr. Thompson. He claimed that you were let go for dishonesty and warned me against keeping you on staff." Vicky's eyes widened in shock. "That's not true. Mr. Rufus, I used my own money to help an elderly man. I would never steal or be dishonest." Mr. Rufus held up a hand to calm her. "I believe you, Vicky. But these accusations are serious, and they're creating doubts among the higher-ups. They're concerned about our station's reputation." Vicky felt her world crumbling. "What can I do to prove my innocence?" Mr. Rufus looked at her sympathetically. "I've seen your dedication and hard work, but this isn't just about me. The company is worried about potential repercussions. For now, they've decided to suspend you until we can sort this out." Vicky's heart sank. "Suspend me? But Mr. Rufus, this job is everything to me. I can't afford to lose it." Mr. Rufus sighed again, his face etched with regret. "I'm truly sorry, Vicky. I'll do my best to advocate for you, but for now, there's nothing more I can do." Vicky left the office feeling numb. She gathered her things and walked out of the gas station, her colleagues' concerned glances following her. The walk home felt like a long, lonely journey, each step heavy with despair. She had worked so hard to build a new life, and now it was slipping through her fingers because of a spiteful lie. At home, Vicky found Rachel and Anna in the kitchen preparing lunch. They looked up as she entered, their smiles fading when they saw her expression. "Vicky, what happened?" Rachel asked, her voice filled with worry. Vicky took a deep breath, fighting back tears. "Mr. Thompson, my old manager, called my new job and told them I was dishonest. They've suspended me until they can sort it out." Anna rushed to her side, hugging her tightly. "Mom, that's not fair. You didn't do anything wrong." Vicky hugged her daughter back, her heart aching. "I know, sweetheart, but sometimes people try to hurt others out of spite." Rachel stepped forward, placing a reassuring hand on Vicky's shoulder. "We'll get through this, Vicky. We've faced worse and we've come out stronger." Vicky nodded, though the weight of the situation threatened to overwhelm her. She spent the rest of the day in a daze, unable to shake the fear and uncertainty that had settled over her. The next few days were agonizing. Each day brought a mix of anxiety and determination as she navigated the uncertain path ahead. It was during one of these tense afternoons that Vicky's phone rang, an unfamiliar number flashing on the screen. "Hello, this is Vicky," she answered, trying to keep her voice steady. "Hello, Vicky. My name is Chandler," came the voice on the other end, warm and earnest. "I'm Louis' son, the gentleman you helped at the gas station." Vicky's heart skipped a beat. "Oh, yes, I remember your father. How is he?" "He's doing well, thanks to your kindness. He told me everything about what you did for him. I wanted to thank you personally and also discuss something important. May I visit you?" Vicky was taken aback by the request but sensed the sincerity in Chandler's voice. "Of course you can come by. I'll text you my address." "Thank you, Vicky. I'll be there soon," Chandler said, relief evident in his tone. Vicky hung up and immediately sent her address, feeling a mix of curiosity and anticipation. She informed Rachel and Anna about the upcoming visit, and they quickly tidied up the small living room. As the minutes ticked by, Vicky couldn't help but wonder about the nature of Chandler's visit. When the doorbell finally rang, Vicky took a deep breath and opened the door. Standing there was a well-dressed man in his early 40s, holding a small briefcase. His eyes were kind, and he extended a hand with a warm smile. "Vicky, it's a pleasure to meet you. I'm Chandler," he introduced himself. "Please come in," Vicky replied, shaking his hand and stepping aside to let him in. Chandler entered and greeted Rachel and Anna with the same warmth. They all settled in the living room, and Chandler placed the briefcase on the coffee table. "I wanted to thank you in person for what you did for my father," Chandler began, his voice sincere. "He's been struggling with Alzheimer's, and that day he was very confused. Your kindness meant the world to him." Vicky smiled, touched by his words. "It was the least I could do. He seemed so distressed, and I couldn't just turn him away." Chandler nodded. "Your empathy and generosity are rare, Vicky. My father was deeply moved, and so am I. I wanted to repay the money you used to help him." He opened the briefcase and took out a thick envelope. "Here's $10,000, he said, handing it to Vicky. Vicky's eyes widened in shock. "10,000? That's far too much. I only used a small amount to help him." Chandler smiled. "Consider it a gesture of our gratitude. You've shown such kindness, and this is the least we can do to repay you." Vicky hesitated, overwhelmed by the generosity. "I don't know what to say. This is incredibly generous, but I can't accept it. It's too much." Chandler gently placed the envelope in her hands. "Please, Vicky, we insist. You helped my father when he needed it most. Let us help you now." Vicky looked at Rachel and Anna, both of whom nodded encouragingly. With tears in her eyes, she finally accepted the envelope. "Thank you, Chandler. This means so much to us." Chandler continued, "There's something else I need to tell you. I'm actually the owner of the gas station where you used to work." Vicky's eyes widened again, this time in surprise. "You're the owner?" "Yes," Chandler confirmed. "I wasn't aware of what happened to you until recently. My father told me about you, and I started looking into your situation. I'm deeply sorry for what you've been through." Vicky's emotions were a whirlwind. "Thank you, Chandler. It's been a difficult time, but I've been trying to stay strong for my family." Chandler nodded, his expression serious. "I understand, and I want to help. I've already spoken to Mr. Rufus. He believes in your integrity and has been advocating for you. We're working on clearing your name and reinstating you at the station." Vicky felt a surge of hope. I can't thank you enough, Chandler. This job means everything to me and my family. We'll make sure justice is served, Vicky. You've shown remarkable strength and kindness, and we need more people like you in our team," Chandler said, his voice filled with conviction. As the conversation continued, Chandler shared more about his father's condition and the challenges they faced. Vicky listened with empathy, offering her support and understanding. The visit, which had started with a simple act of gratitude, blossomed into a heartfelt exchange of stories and mutual respect. When Chandler finally left, Vicky felt a profound sense of relief and optimism. The envelope of money was a lifeline, but more importantly, the promise of regaining her job and reputation lifted a tremendous weight off her shoulders. She shared the good news with Rachel and Anna, their faces lighting up with joy and hope. That night, as Vicky lay in bed, she reflected on the unexpected turn of events. The kindness she had shown to a stranger had come full circle, bringing not only financial relief, but also the possibility of restoring her career and dignity. However, the most surprising part was yet to come. A few days after their first meeting, Chandler called Vicky again. His tone was as warm and earnest as ever. "Vicky, I'd like to discuss something important with you. Could we meet again?" "Of course, Chandler. When would be convenient for you?" Vicky replied, her curiosity piqued. "Tomorrow morning, if that works for you. I'll come by your place," Chandler suggested. "That sounds good. I'll see you then," Vicky agreed, feeling a mixture of anticipation and nervousness. The next morning, Chandler arrived promptly. Vicky welcomed him into their modest home, and they settled in the living room. Rachel and Anna, sensing the importance of the conversation, gave them some privacy. Chandler began without preamble. "Vicky, I've been deeply impressed by your character and the strength you've shown through these difficult times. My father's story and the way you handled the situation at the gas station have convinced me of your integrity and dedication." Vicky listened intently, unsure where this was leading, but grateful for his kind words. "I've been thinking," Chandler continued, "we need someone like you in a leadership position at my gas station. Someone who not only understands the work, but also embodies the values we strive to uphold. I would like to offer you the position of manager." Vicky's eyes widened in shock. "Manager? Chandler? I don't know what to say. This is such an unexpected offer." Chandler smiled. "I know it's a lot to take in, but I'm confident you're the right person for the job. You've shown incredible resilience and compassion. Those are qualities I deeply value in a leader." Vicky's mind raced. The thought of taking on such a significant role was both exhilarating and daunting. "I'm honored, Chandler. Truly. But are you sure? I've only been with the company for a short time." Chandler nodded firmly. "I'm very sure, Vicky. Your actions speak volumes about your character. I believe you'll bring a fresh perspective and a strong moral compass to the team. Of course, I'll provide you with all the support and training you need." Vicky felt a surge of gratitude and excitement. "Thank you, Chandler. This means so much to me. I'll do my best to live up to your expectations." They discussed the details of the position, the responsibilities, and the support system Chandler had in place. The more they talked, the more Vicky felt a growing sense of confidence. She knew it would be challenging, but she was ready to take it on. After Chandler left, Vicky gathered Rachel and Anna to share the news. The kitchen, usually bustling with the sounds of cooking and conversation, fell silent as they listened intently. "Mom, you're going to be a manager?" Anna exclaimed, her eyes wide with excitement. Vicky nodded, a smile spreading across her face. "Yes, can you believe it? Chandler has offered me the position, and I've accepted." Rachel's eyes filled with tears of pride. "Vicky, this is wonderful news. You've worked so hard and faced so many challenges. You deserve this opportunity." Anna hugged her mother tightly. "I'm so proud of you, Mom. This is amazing." Vicky felt overwhelmed with emotion as she embraced her daughter. "Thank you both for always believing in me. This wouldn't be possible without your support." The following days were a whirlwind of preparation and planning. Vicky immersed herself in learning everything she could about the managerial role. She spent long hours at the gas station, shadowing Chandler and other managers, absorbing as much knowledge as possible. Chandler's trust in her abilities and his constant encouragement bolstered her confidence. Vicky's first day as manager was filled with a mix of nerves and excitement. She arrived early, the station bathed in the soft glow of the morning sun. Chandler was there to greet her, offering a reassuring smile. "You're going to do great, Vicky," he said. "Just remember to trust yourself and the values that brought you here." Vicky nodded, taking a deep breath. "Thank you, Chandler. I'm ready." Throughout the day, Vicky's interactions with her team and customers showcased her natural leadership skills. She handled problems with calm efficiency, listened to her team's concerns with empathy, and made decisions with a clear moral perspective. The respect she had already earned from her colleagues only grew as they saw her step into her new role with grace and competence. One afternoon, a delivery truck arrived late, causing a backlog at the station. Tensions ran high as customers grew impatient. Vicky stepped in, coordinating the team to manage the situation smoothly. She personally spoke to each customer, apologizing for the delay and ensuring their needs were met. By the end of the ordeal, the customers' frustrations had eased, and her team was back on track. Chandler watched from a distance, nodding in approval. Later, he pulled Vicky aside. "You handled that exceptionally well. This is exactly why I knew you were the right choice." Vicky felt a sense of accomplishment. "Thank you, Chandler. It was a team effort. Everyone pulled together." As weeks turned into months, Vicky's impact on the gas station became increasingly evident. She implemented new procedures to improve efficiency, fostered a positive work environment, and initiated community outreach programs. Her approachability and fairness earned her the unwavering loyalty of her team. At home, the changes were just as significant. The financial stability provided by her new role allowed Rachel to stop selling their precious heirlooms, and Anna's worries about school dissipated. The atmosphere in their modest home was lighter, filled with laughter and hope. One evening, as the family sat down to dinner, Rachel raised her glass. "To Vicky, our pillar of strength. You've shown us that with determination and kindness, we can overcome any challenge." Anna chimed in, "And to new beginnings. We're so proud of you, Mom." Vicky, her heart brimming with gratitude, clinked her glass with theirs. "Thank you both. This journey hasn't been easy, but we've made it together. Here's to many more milestones and a bright future ahead." The sense of unity and shared triumph filled the room, a testament to their resilience and unwavering support for one another. Vicky knew there would still be challenges, but with her family by her side and the values that guided her, she was ready for whatever the future held. As we reach the end of Vicky's incredible journey, her story stands as a testament to the power of perseverance, kindness, and unwavering support. Vicky's life transformed significantly because of her dedication and the love of those around her. It's a reminder that God always blesses good people. Everything happens for a reason, and happiness will come to those who stay true to their values and continue to strive forward. Thank you for watching and following Vicky's inspiring story. Remember to like and subscribe to our channel for more uplifting stories and updates. Hit the notification bell so you never miss out on our latest videos. Stay tuned for more heartwarming tales.